Welcome to Aircraft Familiarization Training. In this module, you will learn about the key components of a Boeing 737 aircraft. By the end of this training, you will have a comprehensive understanding of the Boeing 737 and be able to identify and operate many of its important parts. Before we learn more about the aircraft, it's important that you learn a little bit about your controls. There's only one button that you really need to know. It allows you to move to the next point of interest. If you look at your controller, it's highlighted in green. It's the A button.
It's the A button.
Ta-da. You'll use this button to navigate all around the aircraft. Practice pushing the A button now. Great job! Like I said, the A button is the most important button for you to progress through this training. Other helpful controls include the red B button on your controller, and it allows you to go back to the previous point of interest that you were just at. Additionally, on your left controller, floating above it, is the skip and pause button, which allows you to pause and skip videos so that you can train at your own pace. Path around the aircraft. The aircraft walk-around path outlines the safest and most efficient way to move around the plane. This path helps workers access all the important parts of the aircraft. It starts here on the left side of the nose and moves past every key component of the aircraft in a clockwise motion. We will be following this path for our familiarization training. In addition to the walk-around path, you should also be aware of the Equipment Restraint Area, or ERA, also known as the Circle of Safety. The ERA defines the area in which operators need to be extra alert and cautious. Ironically, most accidents will occur within this area, so it's important to stay aware of hazards and use extreme caution within these zones to maintain safe operations. Beacon light. The beacon light is a flashing red warning light located on the top and bottom of the aircraft. It flashes red whenever the aircraft's engines are running. While it is on, no one should enter into the circle of safety and no one should drive behind the aircraft. Doing so could lead to injury and death. Once it turns off, operators are free to chock and service the plane. Chocks and cones. The chocks and cones are the very first thing that are placed around an aircraft once the beacon light turns off. Typically, for a 737, 2 chocks are placed in front and behind each gear. On the main gears, the chocks will be placed on the inside tires. 8 cones are placed around the aircraft to define the safety areas and prevent accidents. 1 in front of each engine, 1 behind each engine, 1 at the nose, 1 at the tail, and 1 at each wingtip. However, the exact spots where these chocks and cones are placed will ultimately be determined by the airline that you're working for. Fuselage. The fuselage is the main tube or body of the aircraft. It is the central frame that the wings, tail, and landing gears are all attached to. Made from strong but lightweight aluminum alloys, it is durable enough to withstand the pressure and stress of flight, but lightweight enough to allow the plane to lift off the ground with tons of people and cargo on board. Despite its sturdy construction, the aluminum skin can be as thin as 1 millimeter in thickness in some places. For this reason, it is important that no ground service equipment comes into contact with the fuselage, as even a small scratch or dent can compromise the entire aircraft's integrity. This is how thin the aircraft fuselage skin can be. If it's been damaged by GSE, then it leaves it more vulnerable during flight. Nose gear. The nose gear is the front wheel of the airplane, used during taxiing, takeoff, and landing. It includes a steering system that allows pilots to turn the aircraft on the ground. After the plane lands, ground crew operators will chock the tires and insert a bypass pin into this hole, to disable pilot steering during pushback. The tow bar used for pushback connects to the nose gear in between the tires. Interphone jack and GPU connection panel. The interphone jack connects to a headset that allows crew members to communicate with the flight crew or service crew. It is located directly under the first officer window on the right side of the plane. To access the panel, push these 3 buttons and the door will pop open. This panel also houses the ground power unit connection point. The GPU is used to provide electrical power to the aircraft while the engines are off. Angle of attack sensors, pitot tubes, and static ports. The angle of attack sensors are like the plane's sense of balance in the air. They measure the angle between the airflow and the wing and send that data to the cockpit, helping the pilots adjust their controls to prevent the plane from stalling. Pitot tubes are the small straw-shaped instruments that stick forward off of the nose. They measure the airplane's speed. They work by comparing air pressure outside the plane to the pressure inside the tube. Finally, static ports are small openings on the side of the fuselage that measure outside air pressure. These ports all work together with the pitot tubes to give accurate speed and altitude information to the pilots. Forward cargo bin door. The forward cargo bin door is positioned near the front of the aircraft and is the primary access point for loading baggage and cargo. The cargo door sill is the area around the inside of the cargo door. As luggage passes in and out of the sill every flight, it is important that you keep this area clean and free of fog. Nearby, you'll find 1 or more vent openings that help equalize pressure. To open the door, reach into the small compartment above the handle, pull the handle towards you, and twist counterclockwise. Engines. These are turbofan engines that are located under the wings. The engine panel is located on the side of each nacelle, and this panel provides access to key engine components and inspection ports. Technicians may open this panel to refill engine oil or to conduct a visual inspection for leaks or wear. This engine on the right is engine number 2. The one on the left is engine number 1. It is important to remember that when you're referencing lefts and rights on the ramp that you imagine yourself as the pilot. The pilot's left is left for everybody, and the pilot's right is always right. This way, everyone can avoid confusion and miscommunication. The engines work by drawing in air, compressing it, mixing it with fuel, and then igniting the mixture. This creates the thrust that makes flight possible. The area in front of the engine intake is known as the ingestion zone. It is extremely dangerous due to the strong suction force that can pull in debris or people. So, how do you know when it's safe to approach an aircraft? Well, first, check that the beacon light is off. Then, your main indication is this spiral pattern in the center of the blades. If you can clearly see the spiral, it is spooled down enough for you to approach. If you can't see the spiral and you just see a messy blur, then the engine still has powerful intake and it can ingest you. Also note that the side of the engine is still within the ingestion zone. A large red line on the engine cowling indicates where it's safe to stand. Be alert and aware of your surroundings whenever you work near these powerful machines. Air start connection panel. The air start unit is used to supply compressed air to the aircraft's engines when starting them, particularly when the auxiliary power unit, or APU, is unavailable. The compressed air from the air start unit spins the engine's turbines, allowing the engine to start independently and generate its own power. Once the engine is running, the air start unit is disconnected and the engines take over. Fuel panel. The fuel panel on this aircraft is located under the right wing. It is where ground crew access the fuel tank and add fuel to the aircraft. The fuel panel connects to multiple tanks inside the wings and in the center of the fuselage. A fuel truck pumps fuel into the aircraft through a hose connected to the panel. Gauges and switches help ensure that the tanks fill evenly. Blast zone. The blast zone is a highly dangerous area behind each engine. The engine creates winds of up to 600 miles per hour. That's twice as strong as an EF4 tornado. It can extend up to several hundred feet behind the aircraft and produces enough force to easily flip a vehicle. This is why no one can drive or walk behind the aircraft while the beacon light is on. Main gear. The main gear on an aircraft supports most of the aircraft's weight during taxiing, takeoff, and landing. Equipped with powerful brakes, the main gear helps slow the aircraft after touchdown. The friction from slowing down such a heavy vehicle can sometimes, in rare scenarios, cause the main gear to smoke or even catch fire. If this happens, it is important to keep your distance and, as best as you can, stay in front or behind the tires, because if they explode, they will explode out to the left and the right. However, rest assured that the main gear is built from extremely durable materials like steel and titanium. It is over-engineered and designed to withstand enormous stress and years of repeated use. Aft cargo bin door. The rear cargo bin door is located near the aft section of the aircraft and is commonly used for both baggage and equipment loading. The door sill around the threshold should be kept clear of debris as it sees frequent traffic during every turnaround. You'll also notice vent openings nearby. These assist in maintaining proper pressure balance. This door is opened in the same way as the front cargo door. Luggage is distributed evenly across both cargo holds so that the aircraft is balanced. Potable water service panel. The potable water service panel is where clean and drinkable water is loaded onto the aircraft. This water is used for passenger hydration, for hand washing, and for food prep during the flight. The panel is located near the LAV service panel and connects to equipment that pumps water into the aircraft storage tanks. Ground crews use secure hoses and connections to ensure that the water remains clean and safe. Tail number and aircraft registration. The tail number refers to the identification code painted on the tail of all aircraft. It is a combination of letters and numbers that act like a license plate for the plane. This allows for easy identification and tracking by air traffic control. APU intake. The APU intake is located here near the tail of the aircraft. It supplies air to the APU, or auxiliary power unit, which is used to power the aircraft when the main engines are powered off. We'll talk more about the APU in just a moment. The auxiliary power unit. The APU is a small turbine engine located in the tail of the aircraft. Its primary function is to provide power when the main engines are not running, such as during boarding, maintenance, or while it's parked at the gate. It is also consistently one of the loudest things on the ramp. The APU is louder and more high-pitched than both of the plane's main engines. The auxiliary power unit of this aircraft typically produces noise levels around 85 to 95 decibels. In addition to policy guidelines, the APU is another reason to wear proper ear protection when you're working on the ramp. Lavatory service panel. The LAV service panel is where ground crews connect equipment to empty and clean the aircraft's lavatory systems. This panel allows for the safe and hygienic removal of waste. The service panel is designed with seals and locking mechanisms to ensure nothing leaks during flight. Ground crew follow strict procedures when handling this panel to maintain cleanliness and safety. Ground AC connection panel. The ground AC connection panel is a panel located on the belly of the aircraft near the beacon light. Here, ground crew operators can connect an air conditioning hose that supplies the aircraft with conditioned air while it's parked, providing comfort for passengers and the crew. Great job! You have now completed the initial walk-around. Here is a list of all that we have overviewed. Feel free to repeat this session as needed until you are confident in your aircraft knowledge.